Hello there, people of the internet. How's everybody doing today? I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. So it is March 29th, and those of you who know what this is a 1911, and guess what? March 29th is the anniversary of the adoption of the 1911. So before we get started, let me go ahead and say this right here is going to be a collaboration video with Joe Morgan, and if you have a gun channel and want to get in on the collaboration videos that me and my other gun channel creators do, then I have a link to Discord down in the description below. Go ahead and join in, and you might potentially be able to get in on a gun channel collab video, much like what we are doing right here. I'm also going to give a shout out to both Utreon and Patreon, also linked in the description below if you want to help support my content. So, the 1911. Oh goodness, the 1911. I don't even know where to begin on that. Should I cover the history of the 1911? No, I don't think I will, because everybody already knows what the 1911 is. Single stack 45 ACP, served our armed forces for a very long time. It was an incredibly ingenious design by, of course, John Browning, and it is a design that a lot of your modern style firearms are based around. So this anniversary collab video is actually going to be based around our favorite handgun. And rather than just pick one particular handgun, I decided to go ahead and go with a different kind of genre with that. Because whenever it comes to my quote-unquote favorite handgun, there's a couple of things that I would pick for a favorite handgun. So I have a couple of different options. I have my favorite 1911, and we'll go into that. I have my favorite handgun for sentimental reasons, my favorite handgun because I just freaking love it, and my favorite handgun for something I would pick for practical purposes. And it looks like we have some cows wandering over from the field, so whenever I send lead down range, I'm going to send it into the dirt that's over in that direction, because I don't want to risk hitting a cow. But this is a Rock Island Armory 1911 chambered in 45 ACP. And this is probably my favorite 1911, not necessarily because of it being an incredibly good quality 1911, which it is, but I like the history behind the Rock Island Armory arsenal. So Rock Island Armory Arsenal is located over there in the Philippines, and during the Second World War, whenever the Japanese took over the Philippines, they actually took over the factory that, well, that was Rock Island Arsenal. And after the liberation of the Philippines, of course, the factory, I'm not sure when, but it started back up, and this right here is a handgun that is produced from that factory. One of the things I really like about these 45 ACP 1911s from Rock Island Armory is they're incredibly inexpensive options, but you get yourself an incredibly good quality handgun. I have owned several Rock Island Armory 1911s, and as long as they are of the true design, and they're not one of those compact 1911s, and they're not some abomination version of a 1911, then the Rock Island Armory 1911s actually run incredibly well compared to some other budget 1911s that I've had on this channel that have not ran all that well. So for the price point that you're paying, you're getting something that has a very interesting history behind it, and you're getting something that's going to run incredibly well. One of the things I really like about the Rock Island Armory 1911 as well is with some other budget 1911s, I really have to worry about hammer biting. I don't have to do that with this one. So I'm going to go ahead, I got a couple of 45 ACP rounds. I'm just going to go ahead and send them into that big dirt pile over there. And just like that, I sent some ball 230 grain full metal jackets over there. So favorite 1911 for the reasons that I've just explained. I really like this one. All right, favorite one for sentimental reasons is actually another 1911. This right here is just chambered in 22 long rifle. Now, a little bit of a caveat, this is not actually the handgun I'm talking about, and we'll talk about that. So this 1911 22 long rifle my father bought for me whenever I was but a wee lad, and I was a huge fan of the 1911 for a very long time, but my father figured because I was probably about this tall, 45 ACP was not going to be a good option for me. Growing up, I was a huge fan of the 1911 simply because I always kind of delved into the history and whatnot of firearms, and I really recognized just how much history was behind the 1911. I was born in 1996, so there was a lot of history with the 1911 to cover. Combine that with what I saw in video games and movies and, you know, TV and articles and just all sorts of everything that went into the 1911. I was like, man, I really like the 1911, and I knew that even whenever I was just a wee boy. Well, my father was like, all right, we're going to get my son a 1911 because he freaking loves that thing, right? So he went out and he was like, I'm going to get a 22 long rifle 1911 so my son can enjoy his 1911 and not break his hands with the recoil of 45 ACP ammunition, because 45 is quite a potent cartridge. So he got me this 22 long rifle 1911 and I shot the absolute hell out of it. This was back whenever you could buy the bulk packages of a 22 long rifle for like $7 way back in the day. And I shoved like thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of rounds through this thing. This right here is a Chiappa 22. And I shoved so much 22 long rifle through this thing that the extractor on my old Chiappa 1911 wore out, and the hammer spring for the 1911 wore out to the point to where the gun was just completely unreliable. So what I did was I actually came across a good deal, got myself another Chiappa 22 long rifle. And that one was not working either, so I took both handguns and combined them into a semi-working Chiappa 22 long rifle 1911 that works dramatically better than either of the old ones did. So now I have myself a pretty damn decent 22 long rifle 1911 that I can continue to shove rounds through even after all of these years. The bits that are original, the frame is from the new handgun, but the slide and a lot of the internal stuff is from my old original 1911. This right here does have a threaded barrel on it, so I could throw something on there. As a matter of fact, it actually came with a faux suppressor if I felt like tossing that on there as well. I really like that on this frame I have a Picatinny rail in case I feel like mounting some stuff on that. But besides that, they're basically identical. The hammer's different, the trigger, like the actual hammer profile and the trigger profile, a little bit different, but I bet that a lot of that is interchangeable. So this right here is for my sentimental pick, because this is just the thing that I grew up with, and I have some really, really good memories for a lot of years running this 1911. Alright, favorite handgun, just because I freaking love it. Like, if I had to pick a favorite that I would call my favorite without thinking about any practical purposes or anything like that, this right here is an 1892 open top chambered in .38 special made by Cimarron. But there's a lot of history that goes into these revolvers right here. This right here was like a transitional revolver back whenever Colt was swapping from percussion cap revolvers to cartridge firing revolvers. This right here is a design that stays true to the old school percussion cap system, while at the same time firing your modern day cartridges. Well, not modern day cartridges, but a style of cartridge. I believe these were originally chambered for 44 Henry, but a style of cartridge that is a metallic cartridge that actually loads from a loading gate into the back of the cylinder, so you don't have to pour powder and ball and use a ramrod and all that stuff. I wanted something that was an old school open top design, but took modern day cartridges, and I did not want to get a Richard Mason conversion system for any kind of quote-unquote black powder revolver. Now, I could do that, but those old school black powder revolvers, even the modern production ones, are designed for lead ammunition, and I wanted one right from the factory that I could shove copper rounds through, or copper jacketed rounds through. This way I could fire modern ammunition without having to worry about getting myself lead stuff, and this one right here is a perfect example of me being able to do exactly that. Now, I do shove plenty of lead rounds through this thing simply because I'm a reloader and I have a caster and I like making my own .38 special, and I have shoved a lot of rounds through this thing. I really like just how good the fit and finish is on this revolver. The trigger is absolutely phenomenal. The sights are extremely good target sights, and I actually have videos of me making shots with this thing out at about 100 yards and regularly smacking my steel. I absolutely love this revolver. I've loved the open top system. It was only made for a few years by Colt while they got their single action army up and going, but in those couple of years there was only a few thousand of these made, so the odds of you finding one that is original is quite low. As far as favorites go, this right here, definitely like 100% beyond all reasonable doubt my favorite. Alright, let's pick what I would pick for practical purposes. So I have quite a few practical handguns, but if I had to pick one that I would pick like specifically just as a tool for a job in the event that I need to get a certain job done, I'd probably go with this, in all honesty. This right here is my Ruger P89, and I've shoved quite a few rounds through this thing. It is a 15+1 for a total of 16 double stack handgun. And it is not a polymer framed handgun. It actually has an alloy frame on it, so it is significantly more durable than the plastic polymer frame systems. I have seen several polymer frame handguns get cracked, especially in the magazine area. If the magazine is out of the handgun, it does not have the reinforcement necessary from that magazine. I've seen several get cracked from being dropped or stepped on, or I've actually seen one that got chewed by a dog and destroyed, and that's not going to happen with something like this. So 16+1 capacity, that is definitely enough to be able to get the job done. I really like the sights on this thing. They are adjustable by the looks of it. I'm not 100% positive because I've never adjusted them, but I do see a little Allen screw right here that probably sets this rear sight for elevation, and it is dovetailed in, so I could very much set that for windage as well. And it looks like our front sight is also adjustable for windage. However, if you wanted to adjust the elevation on the front sight, it looks like you'd have to file it down. I really like that the sights on this thing have 3 little red dots on them, which really helps with my accuracy. It is both single action and double action, and it does have a decocker. There's a lot of very interesting history behind this handgun that I went into in the video where I actually made on this handgun. The Ruger P series, not this P89 style of handgun, but their P series was intended to compete against the Beretta M9 for military trials to replace the 1911, but of course the Beretta M9 won. The P89 series right here is a really weird combination of Browning's 1911 system and some SIG systems going on in there, and it's like this amalgamation of all sorts of stuff. Now, the reason why I would pick this for my practical purposes is because 9mm double stack, 16 round capacity, single action, double action, decocker built into it. It's a strong system. These are incredibly reliable handguns for the price point that you get them at, and that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. For the price point that you get them at, it doesn't matter if I scuff this thing or bust this thing up or scratch it or toss it into my glove box and it shakes around. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I would pick this for a practical purpose. If you're picking something for a practical purpose, odds are you're going to be transporting it and carrying it way more than you're going to be actually using it. So yes, you want something that works, but you also want something that's not supposed to be like a safe queen. So I've got a couple of 9mm rounds here. The cows are still there, so I'm going to go ahead and just send these into the dirt down there. Locks open on an empty magazine. So this right here is definitely a good choice. It's lighter weight than a traditional steel frame handgun for the size of handgun that this is, because it does have that alloy frame, but it's significantly stronger than a polymer framed handgun. So there you guys go. This right here is my little collaboration video, and I'm eager to see what Joe Morgan's video is going to be like. So thanks for watching. Like I said, if you want in on these collaboration videos, then by all means, Discord is in the description. Hop in there, and that's where we discuss our collaboration ideas. So thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below. Link to all sorts of stuff. Go ahead and go check that out. You guys go off. Have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you all on the next episode.
Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.